Hello, I'm Marty Levinson, and welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Back to that lemon light city, sweet home Chicago.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine show with the greatest cameraman around, Sonny Hirsch, and your host, Avi Myers. I did that good. Only one so far.
Thank you, Marty. Avi Myers, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. Dial us up on the web at ntnm.org. All the shows are on YouTube. You'll find links through the ntnm.org site. Thank you so much for the great reception on Jewish Chicago. They disappeared all over the place. CAPS24.org, community policing still exists in the city of Chicago. The CAPS program may or may not. That has more to do with federal funding than police desire. Things may change, but the commander in 24, James Roussel, is dedicated to keeping monthly meetings going with the police, and we applaud him for that, and we'll be happy to help and participate. I just wish that the mayor would actually allow somebody from the city to actually come to on the show sometimes, but I'm not holding my breath. It is a pleasure to have one of the most popular figures in judicial world, and you mention his name to anybody who's a judge or wants to be a judge, they know who he is. He's got a blog called For What It's Worth, named after, I guess, the old Buffalo Springfield song. And that is Jack Leyhane. Jack, how you doing?
Avi, thank you again.
First of all, thank you, and I'm glad you're here. And by the way, I want to thank you very much. You can go to Jack's blog and see all the different videos of the judges. And I actually was gonna send you a notice on Jewish Chicago, and I just got so caught up I never did it. But the important thing is that people can really get a good understanding of what's going on in the judicial community from reading For What It's Worth.
Thank you.
Welcome. So what are your findings on the election?
Well, you asked me to talk about the lessons that might have been learned from the election. I think, first of all, the most important thing is that the election is the primary. What happened in November is really kind of aftershock. There's no countywide seat, as you know, circuit court seat that was contested in November. There was no appellate court seat contested. The Supreme Court was the only contested seat, and that was won by a 3-1 margin for Mary Jane Tice. So that's, it explains why the election is in the primary. There really isn't a significant Republican presence.
By the way, also my judicial advertising is a teller too, because I think I had exactly 2 ads this time from judges, and in the primary I had 30.
Yeah, and that makes sense. When we talk about the primary being...
Oh, and by the way, thanks Judge Riley and thanks Judge Mullen for the ads.
Well, we talk about the Democratic Party having such a strong grip on Cook County at this point in time. And I mean, things change. Things always change. But, right now, things are so one-sided that, the party can't even oppose a candidate that it nominated and elect their own third-party candidate.
Derek Smith.
Yeah, I mean, they can't prevent that from happening. So,
by the way, a frequent guest on our show, and the FBI actually used our YouTube video to compare to the wiretaps. Which was pretty cool.
I know he was on before the general as well, and you were very cautious.
Well, basically, I didn't want him walking out on me.
Okay. Anyway. The point I was trying to make was that, if you're thinking about running for judge, you're thinking about, trying to get on the bench, a Republican revival should not be part of your strategy. You can't. I would not count on that. There were contests in only 3 sub-circuit seats, in 2 sub-circuits, 1 in 12 and 2 in 4 out in the west suburbs.
Yeah.
20 years ago, when the sub-circuits were set up, a number of sub-circuits were set up. They were drawn to be Republican, and 4 and 12 were among those.
Yeah.
Today, only 13 is Republican. There were 2 uncontested Republican sub-circuit seats in 13. That's the far northwest suburbs, and I want to talk about the far northwest suburbs for a couple minutes down the road here. But anyway, in 4 and 12, all 3 of the contested seats in these districts that were drawn for Democrats or for Republicans initially were won by Democratic candidates, including Andrea Schleifer, who was, of course, endorsed by Jewish Chicago, and I believe that was a decisive factor in her
Oh,
race.
thank you.
It was that.
Well, she was passing out copies in nursing homes. I know that.
It was a nice write-up. Anyway, the real action for judges in November is the retention ballot. There were 57 circuit court seats up, one appellate judge. I'd like to take the glass half full approach on the retention process. Yes, it has now been officially 22 years since a retention candidate lost. There were 7 out of 30 judges who failed to win retention in 1990, and one of those was simultaneously elected to the appellate court. So that name I won't mention.
Okay.
But that does not mean that unqualified judges must win retention, okay? When the bar associations and the news organizations focus on particular judges as unworthy of retention, I think it's clear that their vote totals lag behind the rest of the field. So that's important to see that there is an effect when we get out there and the bar associations say this candidate is not qualified, or the newspapers say that. It does have an effect. It doesn't have a decisive effect at this point, but I think that's if you're going to be a glass half full person, you have to say, well, this is a matter of education, not a matter of throwing up our hands. This year, looking at the unofficial results that were published online by Cook County Clerk David Orr, the turnout in the suburbs was about 69%. According to the county clerk's office, Oak Park had the highest turnout of 79.8%. River Forest, 76.1%. Evanston was 5th with 74.9%. New Trier was 4th with 75.2%. The largest Obama majority came in Thornton Township. He had 87.7% down the south suburbs there. Highest percentage, highest number of votes. The highest number of Republican or Romney votes came in Wheeling Township. The highest percentage was in Barrington Township. So I thought, okay, if we're going to look at the retention process, there's one other factor you've got to keep in mind. The Cook County Democratic Party officially recommended a yes vote on all retention judges, regardless of what their ratings were. Okay. A couple of ward organizations that I know of broke ranks. 43 had some judges that they encouraged a no vote on. Alderman Moore in the 49th Ward also urged no votes on 5 retention judges.
I give him credit for that.
But I think the party recommendation is an important factor in whether a judge is retained. But again, I don't think that's dispositive either. I think the party support in the proper case, can be overcome by voter education. I think looking at the suburban figures supplied by Cook County Clerk Orr's office, it seemed logical to me, as I was starting to look at it, that the influence of the Democratic Party should presumably be weakest in places like Wheeling Township or Barrington Township. Yeah. So my focus, as I did on election night on the blog, was on a couple of judges who were rated unqualified or not recommended for retention by nearly everyone. And I looked at Judge Cynthia Brim, and I'm only naming individuals because, I'm not trying to pick on anybody. Obviously, everybody was retained. But I'm talking about, it's a fact. She's been removed from hearing cases by the chief judge and by the Circuit Court of Cook County because she's facing misdemeanor battery charges. And Judge Pamela Hillville, who was the only judge who was actually trying to get retained, who refused to participate in the screening process. There was Judge Egan, who was trying to retire, who didn't participate, but that was a different story. So I looked at those two. Those are the ones that were, rated poorly by just about everyone. I should point out that Judge Brim was found qualified by the Hispanic Lawyers Association of Illinois, one of the Alliance bar associations. Anyway, in Barrington Township, Judge Brim had a yes vote, 55.91%. Judge Hillville, 56.09%. Those are below the 60% threshold for retention, as you know. Yes votes were harder to come by in Barrington Township than in a lot of places. So, Moshe Jacobius, who was on your show, on behalf of the retention judges, got only a 67.85% yes vote out in Barrington Township. despite the fact that he was rated well qualified by the Chicago Council of Lawyers and rated qualified or recommended by everybody. You might say that his total might have been weighed down by having a poor ballot name, but I compared Judge Peter Flynn, who was also in that council gang of 9, if you will.
Right, the highly rated.
Highly rated, got only 72.57, not a lot. So it's interesting that there was a lot of no votes in Barrington Township. In Wheeling Township, the highest number of raw votes for Romney, Judge Brim got 54.7% yes votes. Judge Hill-Veal got a yes vote of 53.36.
Wow.
Judge Jacobius there cracked 70%, so it was a little better. Palatine Township, just south of Barrington, as long as we're going to stay out 13, Judge Brim 55.73. Judge Hill-Veal got a yes vote of 54.98. I'm mentioning all these numbers for a reason.
Yeah, we got less than a minute.
Oh boy. Well,
we'll have you back next shoot, maybe.
In New Trier, we had 39% for Judge Brim, 39% for Judge Hill-Veal. So I mean, voter education can make a difference. In Thornton Township, though, it was a totally reversal of the situation. We had very high yes votes for both Judge Hill-Veal and Judge Brim, but even there, take 2 highly qualified, highly rated, recommended African-American judicial candidates. Judge E. Kenneth Wright Jr., who's the presiding judge of First Municipal, did 81.91% yes votes. Judge Diane Shelley got yes votes from 82.11%. So that was much higher than the other candidates there.
At this point, we really don't have any more time.
Okay.
I'm inviting you back. We'll talk more about it. Jack Leyhane, for what it's worth, Judicial Blog. Bye, everybody.